Welcome to Outside Views Military. Today we're diving into a topic that often causes confusion among military enthusiasts and even professionals. What's the difference between APCs or armored personnel carriers and IFVs or infantry fighting vehicles? It's a crucial distinction to understand as these vehicles serve different purposes on the battlefield despite sharing some similarities. So let's start with the basics. An armored personnel carrier or APC is primarily designed to transport troops safely to and from the battlefield. Its key purpose is protection and mobility, offering soldiers a degree of safety from small arms fire, but also shrapnel and sometimes mines or IEDs. The M113 is a classic example of an APC. It entered service in the 1960s and has been used extensively by the US military in numerous other countries. APCs like the M113 focus on troop transport, and their armament is typically light, such as a single machine gun which provides only defensive firepower. On the other hand, infantry fighting vehicles or IFVs are designed for a more complex role. Not only can they transport troops, but they also provide significant firepower to support those troops in combat. The Bradley fighting vehicle is a quintessential example of an IFV. It was developed to address the evolving demands of modern warfare, where mobility, protection, and firepower must often be combined in one platform. The Bradley carries a 25mm autocannon, anti-tank guided missiles, and a coaxial machine gun. And this armament allows it to engage a wide range of targets from enemy infantry to lightly armored vehicles and even main battle tanks in certain situations. Now, let's break down the key differences between the APCs and IFVs. First, their roles. As I said, APCs are primarily about troop transport. Their goal is to get infantry to the battlefield safely, often relying on speed, protection, and simplicity. They avoid direct combat whenever possible. IFVs, however, are designed for frontline engagement. They are expected to fight alongside the infantry they transport, providing both mobility and firepower on the battlefield. And next, let's talk about protection. Both APCs and IFVs are armored, but the level of protection differs significantly. APCs like the M113 often have light armor, enough to protect against small arms fire and shrapnel, but not against heavier threats like tank rounds or anti-tank missiles. In contrast, IFVs like the Bradley are built with heavier armor to withstand more robust threats. Some IFVs even feature reactive or composite armor to improve survivability against anti-tank weapons. And what about firepower? This is where the difference becomes most apparent. I've hinted to that already. APCs typically have one or two machine guns, primarily for defensive purposes. And their armament is designed to suppress threats while avoiding direct confrontation. IFVs, on the other hand, are heavily armed. The Bradley's 25mm autocannon, for instance, can take on enemy infantry, but also fortifications and light vehicles. And in its anti-tank missiles, and you have a vehicle that can take on much more substantial threats than an APC. Mobility is another factor to consider. APCs are often simpler and lighter, making them easier to deploy and maintain. The M113, for example, has excellent cross-country mobility and can even swim across water obstacles. IFVs, while still mobile, are generally heavier due to their armor and their armament, and this can limit their operational range and make them more reliant on logistical support. But why did the military need to develop IFVs when APCs were already available? And the answer lies in the changing nature of warfare. In earlier conflicts like World War II and Korea, the primary goal of armored vehicles was to move troops quickly to the battlefield, where they would dismount and fight on foot. As technology advanced and threats evolved, armies realized they needed vehicles that could not only transport troops, but also fight effectively alongside them. The rise of combined arms tactics, where infantry, armor, and artillery work together, demanded vehicles that could keep pace with tanks and provide direct support to ground forces. And that's then where IFVs like the Bradley came in. They bridged the gap between the APCs and the main battle tanks, offering a balance of mobility, protection, and firepower. However, this does not mean APCs became obsolete, quite far from it. APCs are still widely used in situations where the primary goal is troop transport rather than direct engagement. And modern APCs like the Striker often feature modular designs that allow them to be adapted for various roles from troop transport to command and control. Here's where the Dingoes sometimes come in as well, Cthulhu, although it's more like a big car. In many armies, APCs and IFVs operate side by side, each fulfilling its unique role. And the choice between an APC or an IFV depends on the mission. If the priority is to move troops safely and quickly with minimal engagement, an APC is the better option. And if the situation demands fighting through enemy positions or engaging armored threats, an IFV is the tool for the job. In summary, while APCs and IFVs may look similar, their roles, protection, firepower, and mobility set them apart. Understanding these differences helps us appreciate the complexity of modern military operations and the thought that goes into designing and deploying these vehicles. So thank you for joining me on this little dive into the world of armored vehicles. And if you enjoyed this video and want more insights into military technology and sometimes history, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Outside Views Military. Until next time, stay informed and stay curious. And if you want to see another video right now, the next one is right here in the end screen.